Hey everyone, Aida Jacobs here, and welcome to my character derps video. Basically, this video is just going to focus on little derpy moments of my characters, and I think it'll be fun, and hopefully you guys will get a good laugh out of it. Because let's face it, even badass characters can be total morons and klutzes sometimes, and I think it'll be fun to kind of shine a spotlight on those moments. I will not be using book 1 as an example simply because there are just far too many derpy moments for any of them to particularly stand out, because it's book 1. Marin she's brand new to her destined life of being a dragon guardian, so yeah, a lot of mistakes were made. A lot of mistakes were made during her progress throughout the novel, so there's too many to choose from. And I don't want to bore you by reading multiple scenes where you could just go out and get the book yourself and have your own little set of laughs. Okay. The first derpy moment that I'm going to read is from book 2, Dragon Guardian Water. And it is actually right at the beginning of chapter 2, which takes place on page 13. 2 days later, as the early morning light streamed into the bedroom and spilled over the bed, Kira sighed softly and smiled lovingly at Duncan as their legs lazily tangled together beneath the sheets. As they had been on the first night they had made love, Duncan's eyes were filled with devotion and awe, and they made Kira's heart feel as though it were aflame. "I've dreamed of this, of waking up next to you from the first moment we met," Duncan murmured while reverently brushing his fingertips over Kira's soft cheek. "Yet for all my fantasies, for all the years I spent lying awake at night, aching for you, I never once thought that my dreams would become a reality." Kira's smile grew, and she gently tucked a lock of snowy white hair behind Duncan's ear before lightly tracing a finger over the pointed shell. I've wanted no one else since meeting you, my love," she murmured. "If we had not stopped fighting our feelings for each other, I would have contented myself to spending my eternal life alone. The thought of you spending eternity alone fills my heart with grief," Duncan whispered. "For your sake, I'm glad we decided to embrace our love for each other." Kira brushed a tender kiss to Duncan's lips. "As am I," she whispered in reply. Duncan softly cleared his throat. "My love, are you certain that you don't regret waiting for our joining?" Kira gave a small but firm shake of her head. "Duncan, I almost lost you to Marin's grandfather, and you almost lost me to a poisoned arrow. If there is anything I have learned from this quest, it's that death hounds our every step." She tenderly framed her lover's face in her palms. "Ageless though we might be, we can still be killed. And after Naga's last attack, I did not wish to go another moment without sharing every bit of myself with you." She smiled and brushed a lingering kiss to her beloved's lips. "I have no regrets, Duncan," Kira murmured, "and I never will." Duncan smiled and rested his forehead against his lover's. "Still, we should be careful, my love. As much as it warms my heart to imagine your belly going round with my child, our journey is far too dangerous, and I will not risk both your lives." Kira's heart fluttered wildly in her chest, and her smile grew as she nodded. "We will be careful, my darling." She lightly rubbed her nose against Duncan's. "And rest assured, when we do begin having children, I will love every one of them," she murmured pointedly. Duncan's smile grew, and his eyes all but glowed with love. "You will make a wonderful mother. Our children will be fortunate to have you, just as I was fortunate to have my mother." He sighed softly, and his eyes became sad as his smile faltered around the edges. "I only wish that my mother and father had been able to meet you. They would have adored you." Kira's thumbs caressed Duncan's cheeks. "And I would have adored them right back," she assured with a soft smile. "How could I do anything else when they created you and made you the wonderful man that you are?" Duncan's smile grew again, and he wrapped his arms around Kira before pulling her into a tight embrace. The gods truly smiled when they created you, my beloved. I am truly blessed, he murmured fervently into Kira's ear before nuzzling it, then finding her lips and capturing them in a long kiss. Kira, are you awake? Marin's voice drifted into the room. We'll be leaving soon. Nicodemus wants to get an early start. Oh! Emerald eyes widened at the sight of Duncan and Kira in bed together, and Marin's entire face became the same shade of red as her hair, as she hurriedly clamped a hand over her eyes. Sorry! I should have knocked first. I'll just be leaving now. She turned on her heel and rushed from the room, only to crash into a door frame with a pained yelp. Freeing herself from Duncan's embrace, Kira hurriedly tried to scramble out of bed, but became tangled in the sheets for all her efforts. Marin, come back here! Let me take a look at your nose, she said worriedly while trying to free herself from her fabric prison. Her other hand now pressed to her now bleeding nose, Marin kept her eyes covered and stumbled from the room. No! Clearly you're busy! I'll come back later! At the sound of their friends' racing footsteps faded from their ears, Kira and Duncan turned their gazes to each other, managed to remain stoic for all of 2 heartbeats before falling into fits of hysterical laughter. That scene was fun for me to write. Excuse me, my feet are falling asleep, so I have to sit instead of kneel. Whew. Okay, that's better. Feet are going to get all tingly in a little bit. Alright, now. Anyway, that was from book 2. The next one will be from book 3, and this scene is from chapter 1. Be found on page 10. Okay. In the relative quiet that gripped Meloria Castle at night, Marin peered into the kitchen. It was one of the rare moments in which the always busy room was not bustling with activity. The new queen smiled before scurrying into the empty room and making a beeline towards one of the preparation tables. Wearing nothing more than her dressing gown, where she saw the 2 plates that were laden with the sweet rolls she had grown so fond of since hiring the cook who had replaced Kira. The cook was a matronly woman from the Tor village. Her cooking was savory, delicious, and filled Marin with a sense of nostalgia from her youth, although it had nevertheless taken poor Velius and Taliesin's elven palates some time to adjust to her way of cooking and the spices she used. The 2 elves did, however, share Marin's fondness for the sweet rolls, which was what put the young queen in her current position. Having found herself feeling a bit peckish and not wanting to bother the staff as they finished their duties and settled down for the night, Marin had decided to venture down into the kitchens and see what was readily available for her snacking needs. She had expected to find some cheese, bread, or even some dried meat, all of which would have been perfectly acceptable. She had not expected to find the sweet rolls in so plentiful a supply. And as she closed in on the smaller of the 2 plates, Marin licked her lips in anticipation of the small baked treats that were nothing short of decadent, with all the butter, honey, and cinnamon that went into baking them. I just made myself hungry. Marin could not help the small squeal of excitement from escaping her as she took up the plate. Taliesin will be most cross if I didn't bring any for him, she whispered conspiringly to the rolls, before turning on her heel and hurrying towards the door, only to crash into the cook who had just been about to enter the kitchen. Both women cried out in surprise, and the platter fell to the floor with a clattering crash, moments before the rolls scattered in a brilliant mess. As the sweetbreads rolled all over the floor, Marin's cheeks turned almost as red as her hair, and she nervously bit her bottom lip before adopting a hangdog look, as though preparing herself for a scolding. 3 months into her official reign, and Marin still forgot that she was above reprimand. Over! The cook sputtered. What in creator's name? Majesty! So sorry! Marin squeaked before darting from the kitchen and into the main hall. She continued running past the throne and all the way up the stairs that led up to her and Taliesin's bedroom, not at all noticing Brianna, who had been gazing wistfully out of the windows behind the throne. Determined to document all of Marin's accomplishments and exploits for her continuing epic, the young bard had requested that she remain in Meloria Castle as the resident minstrel. Of course, she had used her past experiences to her advantage in ensuring Marin's safety from the background, keeping the watchful eye for anything or anyone of suspicion. This, of course, had meant that she and Gareth had to part ways, and while Brianna had tried continually to convince herself that it did not matter, she would in fact be lying if she said she did not miss the young king. She would be lying if she denied having written a poem for him, too. While she would not deny it, it was still not something that Brianna would readily admit. How could she? After the darkness Brianna had endured in her past, it made no sense, simple or otherwise, that she would allow her defenses to become so lowered in the face of Gareth's goodness. It made no sense to Brianna that her mind would become filled with thoughts of Gareth during quiet moments such as these, and it made even less sense to her that her heart would warm whenever she fell prey to such thoughts. But as little sense as it made, Brianna could not stop such thoughts from entering her mind. In fact, she had been thinking about Gareth when Marin had darted past her in a blur of red and white, and as she now glanced back and forth between Marin's retreating figure and the kitchen where the cook was still shouting about sweet rolls, she could not help but smile. So, Marin has a sweet tooth, eh? Brianna mused in a low voice, while turning and starting off in the direction of her room with an amused giggle. Good to know. And that is it for character Derps. There's already quite a couple of golden ones in book 4 as I'm writing it, but I can't share them with you without revealing too many spoilers, so that's going to be it for now. I hope you had a little chuckle, or a giggle, or a chortle, maybe even a guffaw or two. I don't know what your humor barometer would be, but I hope you enjoyed yourself, and I will catch you on the flip side. Primordia forever.